Please do not be noisy because we are recording. I saw the Lamb. Open your Bibles, please. Please tell your adopted children to open the scriptures. Father God, Sereni, please open everyone.
We are future.
Daniel chapter 8. Please do not be noisy. Daniel chapter 8, go. Mr. Oyang, please do not speak loud.
We are.
Very loud. Okay. Daniel chapter 8. I saw the Lamb. 4. Open your scriptures there. Open your Bible there. Brother, Sister Lenlen, you are responsible for Brother Gerald. They must not talk about any youth activities. It should not be an excuse for the youth activities that you do not listen to tonight's Bible study. Verse 4. So please adopt them to open. Sister Oyen, teach him how to open. Sister Erica, teach him how to open. Sister Yed. Okay. Verse 4. Read.
Okay na, wala lang ano.
Yeah, continue reading.
I should have pushing eastward and northward and southward should have noticed my stand before
No
me.
forbid.
Neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand.
From. We are daw. We are.
And then sa verse 5, and I saw, and as I was considering, behold, and Higo came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground, and the go, and a notable horn between
Sabi
his
na we
eyes.
are.
When did this happen? When did that take place? Take place, and who are they? And westward, northward, and the southward. So,
Okay, other questions? Other questions? Please give your other questions so I might compile it right now. Barmenan, since you are near there, you can speak from there. It could be recorded. It could be recorded when you stand by there.
Okay,
Stand behind it, the camera.
why did the 40 days of Jesus Christ here on earth did not written in the four gospel? And yet, the writer of the four gospel cover up from his birth, childhood, then ministry, until resurrection. But after the resurrection, 40 days, there are no more records about what happened. So, why?
Okay, next. Okay, next. Other question?
Another one.
Okay.
Why did...
But by the way, everyone, please write down the question they are giving and post it in Facebook, okay? So post it under the video, if possible, related topic. Don't make your own post, so it will not be in competition. Okay.
we remember that the two disciples from Emmaus, why did they do not recognize Christ after during the conversation? Did Christ they did not recognize Christ?
Yes, thanks. That is a familiar. Who has been Bible studied by a Jehovah's Witness? Raise your hands. Who has ever shared with a Jehovah's Witness? 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're familiar, 5. If you're familiar with Jehovah's Witness teaching, the body that's supposed to be the resurrected body of Christ
You answering my question?
is not himself itself. It's another body. It was just made to show was another body, and their evidence is that question. Why did they not recognize Christ? Okay, continue. Next question. Brother Renato. You need a microphone. Is there a cordless microphone? Could you give him a cordless microphone? So please come near to the microphone, Brother Renato. Or you can step near there so it will be recorded. Just step near there so it will be recorded in the video. Okay.
Hindi ko alam.
Here's my question, Brother Francis. According to the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 20, regarding the 10 horns, can you 7, Daniel 7, verse 20? Yes. Can you explain who or what is 10 horns?
This is a good topic. Two different topics. Better to have two recordings. Brother Simon.
The shout of
The
shroud of Turin.
Shroud of Turin. Not much practice at home. Reading in English, reading aloud.
Is through it.
Is it true? Wow. This is good to have two videos. Next. Well, you must be familiar with that. We have two related topics. Okay. No more? No more questions? Brother Rap? Wanna wrap it up? Brother Fred? Just stand near the video recorder and shout louder.
Here.
You want to use microphone? Okay, come to the video.
Okay.
Okay, ready, come here.
He wants to be
The Revelation chapter 1 verse 11. Who is the seven angel yun? Sent to seven angel in Asia. It is from yes, Revelation chapter 1 verse 11.
Okay. Revelation
Who
11.
is the sending the seven angels sending in Asia? Who are they?
Okay.
Okay.
That's a good question. Not.
So this is
What is that?
seven angels.
Sending in Asia.
Okay, next.
Ganda niyan. Father Gerald.
No more question?
Father Dudu.
So this is somewhat different. Can we connect them? Okay, let's connect them. What will be the topic? Resurrection of Christ. After His resurrection, these two can be connected. And let's talk about prophecy. Prophecy of Daniel. Now, is Christ prophesied in Daniel?
Yes.
So let's answer first the question on Daniel. Let's open our scriptures there. Everyone, even your adopted children, open up the scriptures right now. Please read for us. Is Sister Yen fluent in English already? Or still have many vacant time at home? So need some help. Okay, Brother Owa, are you fluent in English? Or your verbal reading has been postponed? Are you fluent in English? Okay, please, you're not? So, I believe I already gave the signal to English. Familiarize yourself with English. Okay, we asked Sister Irish. You should have asked her to open. Read for us. So you must always make your children prepared. Irish and Oya.
4. I saw the ram pushing westward, northward, and southward, so that no beast might stand before him. Neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will and became great.
Now, right now, I'm going to ask you to do something. Look at the context. Sister Lucy, adopt them to look at the context. What is the context? The verses above and the verses below. What does Daniel 8 talk about? You have to familiarize yourself. I'm going to give you a minute. Daniel 8 talks about two animals fighting each other in mortal combat. There is the ram, and there is the he-goat. The ram represents the Medo-Persian Empire.
Verse 8 yung higo.
The he-goat represented the Greco-Macedonian Empire. Please take note of this. You can series this next time. Now, I'm gonna give some parallels of what it was in chapter 7, verse 20. Now, go to chapter 7. If I say it, please help implement it. Example, look at the context. Give Irish the Bible. Give Oyo the Bible. What, Sister Lucy? Please, get the Bible. At least the Bible of the child. They could share it, okay? Help your adopted children to look at the context. I'm not wasting my time for nothing. Please cooperate with me. I don't want this to be a one-way show, okay? I don't want the listeners to be vain with this.
Amen.
So, look at the context. If you look at the context of chapter 8, there was this mortal warfare of ram and the goat. But if you go to chapter 7, I'm going to go very fast, so you should take note of this. Please disallow communication, unnecessary communication, Sister Lucy. Do not talk about other things. I'm sensitive of that, okay? Right now. We have just a few short times. Chapter 7 talks about 4 beasts that came out of the sea. The 4 beasts that came out of the sea are the 4 world empires. What are the 4 world empires? Do you know that, Sister Oya? Sister Irish, do you know that? The 4 world empires? So you helped her write it down. Babylonian, Medo-Persian, Greco-Macedonian, Roman. Now, chapter 7 talks about the 4 beasts that came out of the sea.
Amen.
What is the sea? Write down in your notebook.
What is the sea?
Please, at home, post it and look it up. Okay? The sea,
The
remember?
Mediterranean
how
world. Old world. Old
before you forgot how you convert that.
Great Sea.
Great Sea,
Great
Mediterranean Sea,
Old-
Mediterranean world, Old world. The Old world is the Old world in the Bible, Europe, Asia, Africa.
Africa. Tama.
That's the Old world.
Eurasia.
So, the sea represented the Old world. But there's a literal sea. The Great Sea is the Mediterranean Sea. Now, when the verse 1, 4 winds strove on the Great Sea. And in Revelation, you could read, the beast came out from the Great Sea. It's the same sea. That gives you a clue. They're related. Now, two of the beasts, Medo-Persia, Greco-Macedonia, is featured in chapter 8. In another form of beast, ram and the goat. But in chapter 7, they are the bear and the leopard. I hope you see the perfect picture. Okay? This is very basic for others. Now, the 10 horns that was asked by Brother Freddy represented what? The 10 horns represented the 10 tribal nations subdued by the Roman Empire. The 10 tribal nations subdued by the Roman Empire is in Europe. And they are what makes up Europe today. We have the German, Franks, we have the Visigoths, Heruli, the Lombards. Now you could research about that. These 10 horns would make up the final kingdom and what we have today as Europe. But it goes something further out. It will become the 10 geopolitical regions of the earth in the end times. Now you might wonder, the European Union, there was a time it was made up of 10 nations. But today it's more than 10. It's almost 20 and more. Why? Because that will not just stop in Europe. I said that before. Let's revert back to the other question. Chapter 8. He did what he liked. Alexander the Great, the singular horn on the goat, he-goat, that struck a mortal blow to the ram. He did what he wanted. That's what we read. Now, if you continue reading the context, the singular horn, please give the scriptures. Give the scriptures. Look for the scripture. The prominent horn will split into 4 horns. See that? So have you seen that? Where is that in the scriptures? Verse 8. So, these 4 horns, one of them will wax great exceedingly, and will stretch out to the pleasant land. The pleasant land is Israel. And historically, Antiochus Epiphanes
landed.
foreshadowed that Antichrist,
Invade
the abomination of desolation that will be placed in the temple.
Daniel 8:14.
He wanted to enter the temple, but he was forbidden.
2,300
And
days.
after he lost the battle with Egypt, he went back and vented his wrath on the Israelites, the pleasant land. And he started a wave of persecution, a wave of martyrdom. He destroyed the city. No, he did not destroy the city and the sanctuary. He defiled
The
the
temple.
sanctuary.
The sanctuary.
There's a difference. Defiling the sanctuary and destroying the
Destroying
city
the city and
and the
the
sanctuary. Now, all those things have its equivalent in the end times. Christ quoted that in Matthew chapter 24. Open up. Open up.
1 to 21.
Let's look it up. So, Sister Lucy, your child is Irish.
Verse.
Okay, you should look over his shoulder. Everyone, I'll give you an activity. What verse? And the first one who says it will receive some blessing from the Lord. What verse?
15.
So everyone,
When ye therefore shall see the
huwag abomination that maketh desolation. Stand
spoken by the Daniel the
from the prophet,
stand in the
holy place. Now, stop for a moment. In chapter 12, there's another abomination that will be placed in the sanctuary, but I'm not going to discuss that.
Daniel 12.
I'm just going to put the type. When Christ quoted that, it was in the past.
So that means
What will come in the future? Some have interpreted it to be Titus, who will destroy the city and the sanctuary. But Titus did not put an abomination in the temple.
Yes.
Under Titus, Daniel 9:26, the city and the sanctuary was destroyed. The city and the sanctuary was destroyed. So he speaks of a future time. A future time where the Antichrist will figure in the fulfillment of this prelude.
Parang to ng Daniel.
What do I call it? Revelation 10:7? Precursor. A forerunner. So this forerunner is not John the Baptist. This forerunner is of the Antichrist. There are many forerunners that will give up. Even Nero was a forerunner. But we're talking of Daniel 8. This Daniel 8 talks about how he vents his anger on the promised land, defiles the temple for 2,300 days.
For 2,000.
And these 2,300 days could also figure in almost 7 years, almost, because it's 6 plus.
Sir Francis,
6 years.
can we read the verse?
I want you to open up Daniel chapter 8. We're not going to read the verse. I want you to look it up, mark it down, so you will be aware. Help, Sister Irish, mark it down, bookmark your Bible. What verse is that? Look for it in the Bible. Look for it in your cell phone and write it down. Ask Irish to write it down. So you will be familiar where it is written. 2,300 days is the duration of time that the temple will be defiled. And who will come to cleanse the temple? When Jesus Christ comes back on earth again.
14.
Oh, our Lord is coming back to earth again. Satan will be bound 1,000 years. We'll have no tempter then. After Jesus has come back to earth again. Now, these 2,300 days in Daniel chapter 8, it portends a time, everything combines in its precursor, its preview, its prelude to the tribulation period.
Amen.
So if you could have an illustration of the tribulation period, you could get it for me, Sister Delay, Brother Roel. So just show it in the camera. Just put it there while I'm describing it. So you don't have to move the camera. It's going to be brought there. Just shoot the tribulation period while I'm describing it. And you also could look it up because it's near your place, okay? So just put it in front of the camera in a good position. It will be clear.
Makita na.
Okay, now you can look it up because it's near your area. The tribulation period is almost 2,300 days. What about the minor variances, the minor differences? There is something happening within the tribulation when the seventh vial will be poured out and the seventh trumpet will announce the preparation for Armageddon. Armageddon is not within the 7-year tribulation. It's beyond. So before it happens, there is a preparation. There is something running to a climax. So this running to a climax, this is the reason there's a slight difference of 2,300 days. Now, let's continue. Now we know how it figures with the four beasts out of the sea. But why did Daniel chapter 8 focus only on the two empires? Because in the time of Cyrus, he was like the Christ. He was Shia, the Czech Muslim. Shia, the Messiah. He was Christ. According to the Jews, because he was anointed by God to set them free. But he was foreshadowing the real Christ. There is also what the Manalistas would call the ravenous bird from the east. Are you familiar with that? Ibong Mandaragay. Ravenous bird from the east. That's Cyrus.
Amen.
And it portends Jesus Christ in the tribulation when he comes back down here on earth at Armageddon.
Amen.
Now let's talk about Alexander the Great. Coming of Christ, then the coming of Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great is not the tormentor of the Jewish nations.
Amen.
He could be, and he has tormented other nations.
But not the
But it would be his political genealogy of descendants of one of his generals, Antiochus Epiphanes, who will fulfill that Antichrist role. And why am I saying this? The Christ came, the Antichrist came, the same thing we have today. Christ came, and the Antichrist will come. When Christ came, let's go to his first coming. He resurrected for 40 days. Now what does that represent? 40 days. It's like this. When our bodies change, this was quoted by Pastor Ike a while ago. When our bodies change, we do not immediately zip up in the air, shoot up into heavens. That is the old comics of rapture. Have you heard of that kind of rapture in the denominations?
Yes.
When you receive your glorified bodies, you're suddenly up in heaven.
Yes.
That's not the complete picture. That's not the real picture. The real picture, he was correct, Pastor Ike was correct. You are still on earth.
Amen.
It's like lending credits to post-trib theory. Anyway, when Christ resurrected, he was still on earth for 40 days.
Yes.
Well, let me quote about those who have died having this tradition that the soul is still lingering for 40 days. So, what do you do for 40 days? Among the customs and practices here in the Philippines? What do you do in 40 days? What do you do? Prayers?
Prayer.
Prayers? Vespers?
Prayer
So,
for the
but the reality is the 40 days is not after death. The 40 days is after resurrection.
Amen.
So you could give you an idea within these 40 days, you're still here on earth. There's a great homecoming here on earth. Before you go up in the air, you will meet your dead loved ones if they're Christians. But you're going to meet dead saints that have come to life again. So that's 40 days.
The question is why it is not real.
Why
No.
was Jesus Christ not recognized by those?
Why it is not written on the gospel, the four gospel, the 40 days of
You
Christ.
don't have to write everything. And you know why? The people did not see everything. When Christ was resurrected, after he offered up for a moment, then came back down, Magdalene and others held him by the feet. Thomas thrust his hand by his side, and he ate with the disciples. He's not always with the disciples. He disappeared. Have you read that part in the scriptures? Suddenly he was there, suddenly he was not there. A glorified body does not need to walk, to travel, to ride a car. You just go through walls. Now, why is it not written in the scriptures what he did for 40 days? There is a small detail of what he did. But I'm going to give you a glimpse. He did not walk along with the disciples all throughout the day. He walked with them for a short while, then disappears. That is how he fellowshiped with them. So in Emmaus, they suddenly recognized Christ, then he disappears. You see that? He didn't say he stood up and walked away. No. Then suddenly he disappeared. When they recognized him, he suddenly disappeared. Now let's talk about, do you wish to follow up on that 40-day detail?
Yes, sir.
Okay, follow.
There are discovery of writings, 1945 in Nag Hammadi, that there are writings of Gospel of Thomas, Mary Magdalene. Then
Peter.
it says that what happened on 40 days.
So let's not focus on that. We're gonna take too much time.
So can you answer that in very short time?
The Naghamadi.
The writings, the Gospel of Thomas.
I did not exactly read what he did on that 40 days.
They
Next time you can share it, okay? But we're not gonna, what I'm gonna say, he appeared and disappeared occasionally and gave instructions to the disciples. The final disappearance is gradual rising from the earth. That gives you an idea of what the rapture, how the rapture will take place. It's not suddenly shooting up into the heavens. You gradually rise up. But only Christ was seen. The people did not see all the dead Old Testament saints that were resurrected go up with him. Why?
Why?
The same answer why in the 40 days there were few details. Because they do not usually appear to people. God meant it to be. Because it is a mystery. It is only for the bride.
Okay.
The same with not recognition.
Why did not they?
They did not recognize Christ. It sets a type. Of course, God is very good with the type. That not recognizing him and finally recognizing him after he broke the bread. But let's talk about the literal appearance. When you are in your glorified body state, your countenance is different.
Countenance?
I'll give you an example of a different countenance.
Countenance.
There are people who are full of beards and mustache, but suddenly when he shaved them, he looks different. That's why terrorists will shave their beard. But what I'm saying is, people can suddenly change their countenance. It doesn't necessarily they have a facelift or a change of face surgically. It just means suddenly his countenance was different. Sometimes when you change your dress, I'm talking about things here on earth. You can change your countenance. Well, what about glorified bodies? Let me give you an idea about glorified bodies. He did not shine like the sun. It was like Abraham meeting the angelophanies and the theophanies at Mamre. They look like ordinary people, but they entertain angels unawares.
Amen.
Entertaining angels unawares is the reason Christ was not recognized. He was in his glorified body state. His beard might have disappeared, but that's the reason they did not recognize. The Jehovah's Witnesses teach like this. They gave him a different body. That's why he was not recognized. But in your own same body, you could be also not recognized if something happened in your physical well-being. So that will be my answer for now. How about the Shroud of Turin? Is that true? The Shroud of Turin, who says it's true? Have you heard about that? Who heard about that? Raise your hands. Who doesn't know about that? Raise your hands. This is the Shroud of Turin. Let me draw it here. There's a piece of linen cloth that was used to cover Christ, and it left an indelible photographic marking of
Face of
the crucified Christ.
Face of Christ.
His hand, his body, his feet.
Napanood mo yan dati?
The coloring was blood. Blood was used. And it's like a reverse image, like you have a photograph, the negative. It's almost impossible for man to duplicate. But there was a time the Catholic Church allowed it to be carbon dated. And they say it is a hoax. It's a 10th century hoax. But later they discovered there might be some errors in the dating methods. So the issue here is the Shroud of Turin real or not? What I could answer is, it does not concern us.
Why?
Why? Because what revives us is revelation. What revives the Catholics are relics.
Relics.
You could look at the relics and be revived. This is true. We have concrete evidence.
Bible vindication.
But faith is evidence of things not seen. Your evidence must be something deeper. It is not something that you see that is just for His existence. It's no longer His existence, but His message, His word, His revelation. You appreciate Christ deeper, not by relics, but by revelation. You understood history, the four world empires. You understood the Antichrist. They are all part of the story of Christ. That's the logos hidden from the beginning of time. And when you have that in your heart, you grow in knowledge on that subject, on the revelation. You grow closer to Christ because that is how He reveals Himself. How about the relics? It could be a help to those who are infantile in faith. But do not put your trust in the relics. It may be true, it may not be true. But in my heart, in our hearts, Christ should be true.
Amen.
We're not running by emotion, we're running by evidence. We have the scriptures. Use the scriptures as evidence. History is evidence. Let me answer the 7 angels in Asia. This is evidence. There are 7 cities in Turkey, Asia Minor. And there were churches there, from Ephesus to Laodicea. And there were stewards there. And who would John write to? Sister Irish, would John be writing to literal angels in heaven? Or humans on earth? Why are you coaching? You're destroying your... You don't spoon feed the answer to the exam. The homeschool will be useless. Okay. So, let's go back. To whom would John write to? A human angel or a heavenly angel? Brother Freddy. Earthly angel or heavenly angel?
Kasi sa napanood natin,
Earthly or heavenly?
tinanong nila
Brother George, earthly or heavenly?
nakita silang
Because John wrote to them. Even denominations could understand that. But denominations have not yet tackled this subject. But this is part of the reality of Christ revealed in us. Now, let's talk about the 7 angels. I'm going to share something new. The 7 angels John wrote on earth is a replica of the 7 angels up in heaven. Just as it was written, the earthly tabernacle is a pattern of the heavenly tabernacle.
Amen.
So there is a pattern. The 7 star messengers in the 7 church ages foreshadows the 7 angels that would in heaven, that would anoint messengers in ages, and even the 2 prophets, the 5-fold, the 2 prophets, the 144,000, they are the singular set of 7. When I say singular set, there's only one set of 7, not many 7s, because of article the. So we're the 7.
How many angels God?
One set of 7 angels.
Only one.
Because my peers in my previous church told me, Pastor John Rivera, he said, there are many 7s, not just one singular 7. I wonder if Amos will say the same thing. But scripturally, it said the. Now if it's the, there's only one set of 7. Something is very important for us to be focused here. That's why you have to take note. It did not just take place. It foreshows something happening in heaven. What is happening down here on earth is happening up there in heaven. So, the 7 angels to the 7 churches did not stop there. There were the 7 seals. There were the 7 trumpets. There were the 7 vials. And who are the 7 angels up in heaven? They are identified as the 7 thunders. And if they are the 7 thunders, you have to rethink how you understand Revelation 10. I'm not going to discuss it tonight. I'm just going to give you some short introduction. Revelation 10 is not some short-sighted application from the time only of Brother Branham up to the end. Revelation 10 is expanded. How you see the 7 seals. I'm just giving you a glimpse, a bird's eye view. How Revelation 10 will be understood. It's not a short period of time. Even from the time of Paul, it is called the last days. Starting from Acts 2, it is called the last days. The church age, the Gentile era is a mystery. It's a cut from the 70 weeks. It is not parallel. It is a sudden break from the timeline in the chronological clock between the 69th and the 70th. What happened in the middle? That's the mystery of God. Question.
With the time of Brother Branham, please go there. With the 7 seals revealed in 1963, it is the 7th angel teach Brother Branham what the 7 seals contain.
Yes, you can say that. But Brother Branham giving out the opening of the seals, that's the traditional explanation in the message. You would limit Christ in time, as though it all happened in 1963. See that?
Yes.
As though the time up in heaven is only 1963. Then you mystify the prophet there, from there, 63 to 65 or what? From level 1 to level 4, it's from 1963. You have Brother Jackson's contender. He started in 1963. He could have guessed 1933, but it's not the time of Brother Branham. Revelation chapter 10 is from the time of Brother Branham. But I'll tell you something. It's just a stepping stone understanding. Brother Branham's 7 church ages and other seals ignition is a stepping stone understanding. the explanation of Revelation 10 is a stepping stone understanding. Because eventually, God would show you something else that was not literally spoken and written down in the past. It will be revealed in your hearts. If you have this forbearance, this patience for revelation, you do not limit yourself to their Nicolaitan statements, but you open up yourselves that God is going to show you more from what the prophet had shown. You're not supposed to just spoon feed from what he said. You're going to use that spoon feeding as a stepping stone. In the future, you're no longer spoon feeding. You will be able to see something deeper that was not revealed in his time. But of course, he's the doorway. This is something they could not accept. So, Revelation 10 is not limited only in his time. The tribulation and the church ages, how all these figures up, they're all there. But how do you rightly place it?
Did you agree that the seventh angel had a revelation about the seventh seal?
You can say that. All the statements you read, the seventh angel had the revelation of the seven seals, the seventh seal. You can say those statements. Because they are the doorway. They are the cue. They are the clue. They are the pointers for you to see what is next. Okay.
So, the Bible contradicts when John 16:14 says that the Holy Ghost is our teacher and He will guide you to all truth and teach you all things. So the seventh angel had also a revelation about the seventh seal. So they will contradict.
There is no contradiction. Actually, John 16, Spirit guiding us into all truth, is the answer why the revelation of the seals is progressive. You do not stagnate yourself in one explanation, whether from the prophet, from the fivefold apostles that are prominent today in the world. You do not close yourselves. When you got restored in your heart to become Berean, you could see something furthermore. A simple person like you sitting there, not a prominent person in the world, could see something deeper that those highly influential, big-time ministers, I'm talking of ministers in the message, I believe they're also being used by God to open up others. If others, through Bride of Christ, will become Berean, not become just part of their denomination, but walk in further life, they're being used by God. But they could not see. Brother God could not see. Brother Jackson could not see. Brother Branham could not see. It's very hard for them to admit. Some will admit, yes, Brother Branham did not see, but if you can see, Amos did not see, Howard did not see, Jackson did not see. It's something very painful for them to hear. But you have to realize, you as a simple person could receive revelation deeper than what they could not see. Why could they not see it? Not just because their ministries are big. Look at Brother Ewell Frank. He goes around the world. He preached to lots of people. But what is his message? Most of them are very basic. It's very, occasionally, sometimes, a new revelation comes out, but he could not dig deeper than Brother Gan, Brother Jackson. So, he could not write it out. Oh, there are true ministers, false ministers. Everyone is being used in the anointed ones of the end time. Oh, Nicolatanism and being Berean. Maturity in being Berean. How are you going to receive progressive revelation? from what they have already taught. How could you see there's no contradiction? The Spirit guides you into all truth. Now, right now we're talking of generalizations. But some other time, let's gonna talk in detail that Revelation 10 in an expanded application in the church age. The seven thunders are the seven angels, the seven church ages. Okay, who raised their hand? Brother Nico first.
That's
What
not.
about
Make your voice louder so it could be recorded.
what about
Why did it
other
descend? That's
people
not.
that they not receive the message of the seventh angel or seventh angel, but they predestined to.
So, if our basis is not a set of doctrine, our basis is Berean repentance, even a Catholic could be saved. A Protestant could be saved. Only God knows if he willfully did not want to walk in further truth or he did not have the access to do so. Okay? So to answer your question, God could save. Remember the thief at the cross besides Christ? Did he know everything? He did not understand everything. But God could save him. So, I'm using the word Berean to show what is God looking in the hearts of men for him to justify the person.
So they not dogmatic or like extreme the what Brother Branham said or what seventh angel said.
Those that will be saved, some have not yet known Brother Branham. Some have known Brother Branham and no more. Some have known Brother Jackson, Brother Gam. Some would have known us. But how will God save them? God knows in their hearts, at the best of their capabilities, they have repented from ignorance. It just so happened they did not have the capability. You have a brother or sister there that is blind, deaf, mute. How could she receive revelation? Sometimes, by the grace of God, she can still learn revelation. But not everything. How about our previous ministers, messengers? Did they understand everything? No. And how is God going to save them? Oh, they are penitentiaries, or they were half born again. They received only half the new birth. No. Everyone received the same talent, received the same payment. Whatever day of the 12-hour watch, they came in to work. The 11th-hour worker, the 9th-hour worker, the 3rd-hour worker. They received the same payment. The same thing with revelation. Now, it doesn't mean, why I use the word Berean, because it is not an excuse for you to ignore. Example, you have the opportunity. Oh, God's going to save me, whatever revelation I have. No. We're talking about the day you hear His voice, harden not your hearts. God knows if you harden not your hearts. Sometimes we could see others hardening their hearts. So it's not that you be content with what you know, but you strive to know. Now, however far you reach and you die in it, God will justify you in that. That's why it is so important to understand Berean repentance, because everyone is striving. And even if you die crying like the thief, God can still justify you. Today you will be with me in paradise. Okay. Brother Freddy.
I have two questions. First question is about 40 days. Jesus Christ is in 40 days. You say that Jesus Christ
You come to the near to the recorder. That should be recorded.
Jesus Christ resurrected from the dead.
There,
But
let's start.
the Bible said the old saints resurrected. But it's not written in the Bible that Jesus Christ resurrected. And then he told the Bible Jesus Christ raised up from the dead. Why you compare old saints resurrected to Jesus Christ resurrected? Second question, you said that 7 literal men. These 7 literal men, they are resident in Asia.
John wrote to 7 literal men in
Because the
Asia.
Revelation chapter 1 verse 11 is the 7 angels sending in Asia. If it's a literal man sending in Asia, is that Brother Burnham's resident or live in Asia?
The Pentecostals mix it up just to find some contradiction. Again, let me clarify. Turkey, Asia Minor. 7 churches, local churches in Asia Minor. There were 7 literal men in that Asia Minor. They foreshadowed 7 future star messengers. And it also gives us a glimpse of the 7 angels in heaven. So, there are 7 literal local men in Asia at the time of John. Brother Branham was not there. The Pentecostals are trying to mix it up to find contradiction. Brother Branham is the age messenger. Now, let's go to the earlier question. The earlier question. When Christ rose up from the dead, and the others rose up with him, what is your question there? Did they stay on earth for 40 days?
The old saint resurrected from the dead, but Jesus Christ resurrected, rest up from the dead. Why you said that Jesus Christ resurrected from the dead?
The word resurrection also applies to Jesus Christ. Raised up and resurrected mean the same thing as when Paul was writing it. Okay?
So it's the same resurrected.
Yes, raised up and resurrected. Sister Len.
What will be the last message of
Same
seven
yun eh.
thunder or the seven-
What will be the last message?
of seven thunder?
Well,
The one na
to indulge the believers that there are 7 men to come. I believe there will be a message, but doesn't necessarily have to be a message of revelation. It's what Brother God says, speak the word and they will be body change. They will be glorified. And you have that in John chapter 5. A voice will be heard in heaven. And those that are dead in the graves will rise up from the grave. So, it's not necessarily a message. The rapturing faith is here right now. What is the rapturing faith right now? Are you worthy? Do you know in your heart, are you worthy? Do you consider yourself worthy?
purpose is you.
Listen intently. Don't talk about other things. That's the devil
Purpose is
giving you idolatry.
you is
So, you don't have to wait for a special message to have rapturing faith. You know, Brother Jackson and the rest of the quotationers, they almost believe the same thing. It is something in the future. Something that will be heard in the rapture season. They might have slight variances, like it's the message of Brother Branham, it's the message of 7 men that will come. That 7 men has already come. If you could understand, the 7 angels in Asia. What was in there? Why do you have to look back? We have to look in the future. Why do you have to look back? Because the seal, the 7th seal, is not just something in the end. It's the whole lot from Calvary to second coming of Christ. They misunderstood. If you're going to call out saints from the time of crucifixion of Pentecost until today, until the end, how dare you say the rapturing faith will only come those who are left alive on earth? So the 7 thunders, the 7 men already came. When the 7th angel revealed who the 7 thunders are, it is the revelation of who the 7 men are. And how important is it to know 7 men from the past? Because they hold the key to your future. So I'm saying not just Brother Branham, all the messengers, and he was emphasizing that, read the booklet. All the messengers, they hold the key. They are in the right hand of Jesus Christ. And what is the key? You have to look back in the past. You have to look at history. That's the key. How we would receive the body change, the rapturing faith. What you will hear literally is a supernatural sound, a supernatural trumpet. It's no longer just a message that we're talking about here right now. It's something you will hear in the spirit realm. Suddenly, like the witches and sorcerers, they're so sensitive in the spirit realm. You become sensitive. It's because God changed your body, not because you have your own capabilities. Because you are called by God. It's going home time. Okay. No more question? Final question. Final question.
I believe the 7 angels is not only sending in Asia, it is sending all over the earth. Now, is USA considered as an Asia?
The Asia is the local church that was used as a type. Of course, the ages is all over the world. Let's talk about that next time.
Kung Asia lang ang sending ng angel, is not all over the world. Parang literal siya. Kasi yung pinakikita sa Revelation,
Other churches look at it that way. They only look at the literal local churches
ang
in
pinakikita kasi
Asia.
sa literal 7 angel, it is not an earthly angel, or it is a heavenly angels.
So it portends, it shows, it represents.
Oh,
Next time we have to separate, we have to isolate. You left your adopted daughter. You should not have meetings, other meetings. Next time, adopt his daughters. Let's all stand. Would you give us closing prayer? Brother, close the video.